T. It's in the name.
Welcome into the Helping Healing Humor podcast with Ben and Travis. We're going to talk with some dodgeball legends today and also talk a little bit about St. Jude and the impact it has for wonderful people around the world. We're going to get to that conversation right after these important messages. We are very thankful for Challenge Youth Conference continued support of this podcast and their partnership in raising funds for St. Jude through the Staying Alive Dodgeball Tournament. The purpose of Challenge Youth Conference is to meet the needs of our church teenagers who are growing up in a society that is often indifferent to living a life for Christ. CYC's mission is to present a program utilizing solid and sound scriptural emphasis. Our vision is to maintain a positive program which empowers our teenagers with sound teaching that challenges and encourages them to live their lives for Christ. You can email info@cyconline.com or go to cyconline.com to learn more information. We hope to see you there. I'm Travis Creasy. That's all pro counselor with 3-Chord Counseling there in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Ben Hayes, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I am flanked by these two awesome gentlemen right here that I get the privilege of worshiping with every week. And also, as you mentioned, they are dodgeball legends. One playing for two teams at one time, or at least in one tournament. But Will Mahan, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great.
Still a little sore from dodgeball.
Yeah.
Maybe by, this Saturday, it'll be a week. I'll be fully recovered. So
you can tell we're getting old. And we have with us Blake Holloman, the Hollow Monster, the resident Barner, and we're just thankful that he's here with us.
Yep. I've only missed 2 days of work this week. So
I hear the Polaris guys were really struggling, though. So some of those guys played hard too.
Well, after what we did to them, I can see why.
Yeah. Those guys were laying it on the line. I think we talked about it in last week's podcast, a little bit about their buy-in. Those guys, I think everyone would agree, were bought in fully to some dodgeball.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to talking about being able to walk around. Hopefully you guys can wobble your way. By the time this airs, it will already be over, but to the Heritage event, we've all been invited to go, and hopefully that works out. And we've had a good time. We're thankful for their sponsorship of this podcast and their friendship. But I'm looking forward to hanging out with you guys. It's always a blast. It's even better when I get to sit back with Ben and watch people throw dodgeballs at you and vice versa. What are your takeaways? They can be serious, they can be goofy, whatever. What did you think about the week? Congratulations. I know Blake was on last year's team of Brave Bros. Will played alongside them, and they are back-to-back defending and fighting champions of the adult division.
Yeah, was it just you and John McCart that were on the team last year?
Yeah, we had a couple of my other friends that go to Launch Point. They joined us this year as well. So we had over half the team back. A lot of life has changed with little ones for a lot of our team from last year, but we brought the core back this year. And the fun thing about this is people who you don't expect to have like a key moment in a game. Man, it's that sneaky athleticism that comes out, and that's what I like seeing. It's like look over and someone snags one out of the air, and then totally revives your team from bringing back someone who was gotten out earlier. So that's probably the most fun part for me this year.
Yeah, those catches can really turn the game around. It's crazy how quick.
I'm making the highlight reel, and I think it was the year of the catch. It was nuts. Like you said, there were tons of games turned over. There's a 4-1 advantage. Somebody catches a ball, and it's like that team goes on to win. It was insane the amount of catches that were made this year.
Well, that's because of how many throws that Bransley had. That guy caught.
He does probably hold a world record. You should check into that, Ben. We have video footage. I started to pull Will aside and go, you need to tell Bransley to stop throwing the ball. But I love Bransley.
How mean can you be, one, to your preacher's kid, one of your good friend's kid, to a youth group kid. At one point, I was like, Brandon's like, hey, if you throw it at their feet or if you just roll it, like it'll mess them up. And then, she was like, no, I got it. I was like, you got it. You can do it.
And I may or may not have called her out over the loudspeaker a time or two for her arm. But anyway, maybe she can get on the weights a little bit this year. And,
if I didn't know better, Ben, I would think watching the video that the Brave Bros got together and practiced this year, but I know better than that. But I mean, there was just, you guys were like in sync, like figure eighting in and out and like weaving and like catching the ball. And then of course, Blake had the celebration ready to roll.
Yeah. So we had our strategy off the rip was having two guys run to the middle. And then I'm coming up like a quarterback in shotgun and they're shuffling me the ball.
I knew there had to be a strategy. I knew there had to be one. Because
you have to be behind the certain line before you can throw the ball. And so the quicker we can get the ball back, we can start off the game. So a few games we started off the game and it was 5-6, like within the first 10 seconds of the game, we had gotten someone out off that strategy. So there is some strategy going into it. The older guys have a little strategy versus some of the youth group teams that we faced.
I thought it was interesting because it was like you guys had your strategy, and then the eventual winners, Ben's Minions. Was it Ben's Minions or Ben's Children? I could never get it right.
I just said Ben's Minions. You kept calling them Ben's Children.
That's what
I think one of them yelled that at me, like one of their team members. It's Ben's Children, and I was like, okay, that's better than ripping off Travis's Minions, you bunch of goons. But anyway, theirs was just like the blitzkrieg. It was like they threw the balls back, but like I don't even think they were thinking about where they were throwing it. It was just like throw as many as we can. And of course, it ended up working out for them, but it was wild. And then Blake, you had, I think it was in the championship, you had that one throw towards the pin that they had blocked up, but it rolled between their feet and knocked their pin over. It was probably the slowest roll for a pin. But it's like when you watch it on the video and it's in the highlight reel, you'll just be like, no, don't want to have to. And it just knocks it over. And I think you go, yeah, real loud. It's great. It's great.
Well, I threw that ball as hard as I humanly possibly could. And luckily we had a cross-country runner standing there. So his legs were not, the strongest. So, I was lucky to get through there. And I was, like I was saying earlier, I can't just play a game at half speed. I'm either going to give you 150% or I'm staying on the sideline. So yeah, I got a little amped up after that.
Well, I remember seeing that live and I couldn't remember if it was the ball that actually hit the pin or if it was his hands. Cause it was like his hands moved back with the throw, probably because you put everything into it, but his hands kind of moved back with it. So I didn't know which one actually knocked it over. So either way it counted. So it's all good.
Will, what'd you see out there, man?
Man, for me, the Polaris guys, it was an adult team that they all work for Polaris, and Josh, one of our other St. Jude guys, works there. So you got them all going in. When they were playing, one of their guys, who's kind of a heavier set guy, just a bigger guy, he just does like a full Superman dive.
Yes.
And catches the ball. And they all go nuts. And one of them turned around to me and he goes, man, isn't it fun to just never grow up? And I was just like, I mean, that's it. It's just, yeah.
That's the motto for the weekend right there.
Oh, yeah.
The sheer amount of fun of just hitting each other with foam dodgeballs. It was just a lot of fun. I love talking trash to the teenage boys that ended up winning it all and they're giving it right back. It was just good. I guess good fellowship, and it's cool what you can do when people come together to support something as cool as St. Jude, and when everybody has common goal, there's just a lot of cool things, and even friendships and things that develop from people that I would have never probably met in my entire life that live within 20 minutes of my house, but because we've got a common goal, it creates a special bond. So it's just a fun weekend.
I really wanted to give. I was tempted to give MVP to that guy from Polaris. I mean, he made some plays. Like he dove and did like a somersault on the sideline. Kenya said she saw him dive into the bleachers one time, like actually dove into the bleachers. And so I didn't. She said we missed that because we were doing something else at the time. But it was crazy. So he gave everything. But I think that to Will's point, kind of is my takeaway of how much fun the weekend was, even for people who came and watched it. And we didn't have a ton of people who were just randomly there, but we had a few that showed up. A couple of the ladies from school were really disappointed they couldn't rally some other ones to play. And they're like, we're playing next year, so that'll be entertaining and fun. But they were just excited. They love it. Like Brittany's our nurse at school. And I said, hey, can you be here with just some stuff in case we need something? And so she's like, yes, I love it. It's always fun. So she came, and we raised a ton of money. We had the Polaris guys brought their wives and they were going crazy too. I mean, like they were over there, even when it wasn't them playing, they would get excited about big plays if somebody caught one or if you have one of those big turnarounds. And I think they were like the fans of the game because they were in it, like at the mid-court line, and they were pumped up the whole time.
Well, I think you've got to, if we did some superlatives, like you're saying, the fans of the game, I think you got to go with Blake and McCart on the intros. Blake probably on the celebration. We might could give McCart the intro, Blake the celebration. The guy that you're talking about, I wish we'd have got his name. I mean, he could be in the WWE because he sold stuff like it was
he had
greatest thing that ever happened.
He had a black eye when he left.
Yeah, he got hit with one. I don't know if it's the same guy, but there's one, and it's perfect. I mean, it's on the highlight reel. Dude gets hit in the face, and he does like this ballerina type turnaround, like it was the hardest thing he's ever been hit with in his life. And it was just like, there are professional wrestlers getting paid big money that can't sell like that dude sold that hit. Like it just devastated his life. And it was just great. And like you said, speak to the teenagers. We all have our that fire in us to compete. But for them to see people, that are willing to kind of get in there and sell out and be goofy and have a good time. And that just goes back to our run, Ben and Will. When we run down the avenue there and those kids are lining the streets cheering it on. I mean, you can't oversell the boost in the arm. For them, the boost in the arm you're talking about, for us on Dodgeball weekend, to see the community pour out. And it was just bigger and even better than last year, which I didn't know if that was possible. Mars Hill letting us use the bigger gym. I loved it in there. We had the screen, the clock. I think next year, if it's as sunny as it was, I think we can cut the lights out and let the disco lights kind of shine a little bit more next year. But you got Caleb Sampson, just people who are pouring out. And the whole point is to help these kids, these families that are literally probably in the worst moment of their lives. And I think it's awesome that God can take even those things like that maybe we question or we don't know why they happen and whatever, but we can take it and go, this is a way to shine the light of God and be goofballs for 3 hours on a Saturday and raise money, which I think we're close. I think we're in the 4,000 range total for the week.
Yeah.
And
so that's a big deal. We're still trying to raise money.
I'd like to say that, I'm not a runner. I'm more of a lift weights kind of athlete, but for what you guys are doing with this raising money for St. Jude for the run and things, we had a guest speaker here at Highland Park last week, and he said, you do what's right and God will do what's best. And that's just really been on my heart over the last couple of weeks is we know what we're doing is right. We're helping these kids and God's in control and he's going to do what's best.
Man, it's good.
Hey, so speaking of running through St. Jude and seeing them, did you see the route Have you looked at the email at the route? So usually the run through there, the last couple of years, it's been early.
Yeah, at the beginning.
It's like at mile 3. I think it's at mile 10 this year. So I'm actually kind of excited about that because, one, it's sort of, it takes you, kind of takes your heart a little bit, takes your breath a little bit, but it also gives you a little more motivation. So that
suck it up, man.
Yeah, at the end of the run, that's about the point where I'm going. I just really wish that I could stop. And that's when you're going to be running through there. So
yeah, until you've experienced running through, and it's not long, it's maybe 3-4 minutes.
Mile, maybe.
But man, when you run through there, it's like you'd play dodgeball every weekend. Like you would do anything to just go. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to run through it, but then even as a father, or even if you're just around kids, you see it, you just go, man, I want to do everything I can in the world to just be a part of this, and that's the cool part. There's 30,000 people that end up running, and you take 30,000 people with one goal and you raise $15 million, and it's just kind of just goes to show a lot of people doing small things can add up to some pretty significant life.
We need to be sure to invest in some track suits this year, matching.
Yes, I was thinking of that the other day. Well, interestingly enough, we got our schedule for Cypress's next visit, and so he's got an appointment on Tuesday after the race, and then 3 appointments at St. Jude on Wednesday after the race. So we've got, we're going to come home probably Saturday night, preach Sunday, and then probably turn around and go back to Memphis on Monday night and do his appointments and kind of reap some of the benefits of what these people are doing, for us, but also for a lot of other kids that need it a whole lot more than we do.
So you guys 2 weeks ago brought up the fact that you thought Forrest Gump should return to the 5K. I said that if we hit 2,000, we did, that I would run as Spider-Man. And so this week, I'm going to put it out there when this podcast airs, the vote, and we'll let the people decide what I will run in since we raised 2,000, whether it is the Spider-Man suit or Forrest Gump. You guys said Forrest Gump was a hit last year. So we'll let the people decide if that's what I will do. So last fun question. We'll wrap up our time together. What's your slow-mo moment from the dodgeball that either, man, it was just the best moment, or, man, I wish I had that one back. Things would have been different.
Mine was probably, on the game from the 90s, the NBA Jam, where your player would go on fire. I had about a 30-second stretch where I caught one, threw one, hit a guy, and then I caught another one and completely flipped the script for our team. And that's when I hit all of the youth group guys from Highland Park with the bow and arrow, the relentless shots. And so that was probably my favorite part as far as from the actual gameplay of the dodgeball this weekend.
Mine was just the graciousness of the Woodlawn boys, because I think it was when I was playing with the Defenders of Equal Rights. I had kind of the same thing that happened with Blake. I got a kid out, caught one, got another kid out, and I think I caught another one. But in the middle of it, my glasses fell off. And once I got my glasses back on, there were 3 teenage boys standing at half court ready to go. And I was just like, please let me put my glasses on. And they so graciously, it's like I'd had my highlight reel. And then I finally.
If that was the Highland Park boys, do you think they would have given you that grace?
No chance. But I had my highlight reel and got brought back, to reality real quick, because I think Bransley came in and she just threw one up and they called it and brought
what?
They brought another teenage guy in, and when I got my glasses on, it wasn't very pretty.
A preview of why I played second base in high school. So nice. the other, I guess it would be the guy from Polaris. I think that one catch that he made that was like diving and fumbling and tumbling and still somehow managed to catch it. Or maybe runner up to that was Ben Bretherick's catch as he fell backwards.
Yeah.
And it hits him here. And it's like he pins it under his arm and falls to the ground with it and never lets go of it. Yeah. Just kind of rolls onto his back. It was pretty impressive too.
I bet he felt that. What do you think? Over under? You think he felt that a couple of days later? Is he that age yet? I don't know.
Getting there.
I know I'd have felt it. Well, guys, I appreciate your time here on a Wednesday night. Been talking a little football, talking a little dodgeball, all serious things. But I appreciate your help. Both of you helped us pull off the weekend. And, of course, we thank your families for letting us borrow you. And but we'll talk at everybody next week.
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.